Vijay Sethupathi's spectacular return to form with the creators of the Family Man universe, untold stories about the biggest musical legend alive, a throwback to Bollywood's golden era and its evolution, and a recent Malayalam Superhit. Welcome to a new episode of Raunaq Recommends, and this is the best of February part 1. Let's get started. If you want to truly shake up a system, you either have to know the system very well and you have to have enough power to make everyone else play by your rules, or you need to be a complete outsider who knows no rules, who knows no power, just pure hunger. Two such outsiders are Raj and DK, two brothers from other mothers who met during their engineering degree in Tirupati, migrated to the United States to do software engineering like good Telugu boys, and then said to each other, we should be making movies. It's this outsider perspective and energy that gave Hindi cinema a refresh button with crime comedies like 99, Shore in the City, and also India's first zombie comedy or Zomcom, Go Goa Gone.
Are you really Russian?
What?
You look a little desi.
हाँ दिल्ली से हूँ बैंक चो
Raj and DK broke every rule in the Hindi cinema rulebook and gave the audiences new experiences with every single project that they created. And after 15 years in the industry, they realized their full potential with Family Man, an Amazon Prime web series which truly changed the game and elevated the standards of Indian web series. And in the same universe, they've created Farzi, another Agmark Raj and DK series about the world of fake notes and counterfeiting, which doesn't become a masterpiece like Family Man, but it's still wildly entertaining. The world of this show itself is so captivating because for each of us, at least when I was in second or third standard, I remember tracing 5 rupee coins and making fake notes in my rough notebooks. And maybe the reason why we did such things is because of the relationship we share with money as Indians. And this love-hate relationship is so beautifully summarized right in the first episode by Shahid's character Sunny, when he goes on this monologue about the life cycle of an Indian middle-class person, and that really hits here. The only problem is it takes a little bit of time to accept Shahid in this character because of the way he looks. He's sincere in his performance, but he looks like he stepped out from a photo shoot happening in the next studio and onto the sets of Farzi. He feels a little more posh compared to the rest of the cast who are perfect. Whether it's his study buddy Firoz, played by the fantastic Bhuvan Arora, right from the slow transformation of his wardrobe to his body language as the show moves forward, he probably has the best character arc in the show. Or KK Menon as Mansoor, the mastermind of this global counterfeiting network, who is, as always, extremely funny, mischievous, and slithering like a chameleon. Even Rashi Khanna, who plays this super hot RBI officer turned task force agent, she has a really meaty role, but the one who steals the show is, of course, Vijay Sethupathi as Michael Vedanayagam, a workaholic task force officer who is so obsessed with his work of bringing down this fake notes network that he loses everything else around him. The last few years haven't been particularly great for Vijay Sethupathi the actor because he's been signing projects left, right and center, and seeing him in multiple projects every week with the same old performance really adds to the fatigue for him and for the audience. But I was still excited to see Vijay Sethupathi in a Hindi project speaking Hindi, and here as a Tamil officer who speaks Tamil to his Telugu wife, Telugu to his in-laws, and in accented Hindi with the rest of the world, and especially the finance minister Gehlot, whom he shares this unexpectedly hilarious chemistry with. Even though he seems really effortless in his performance, it really works to his advantage here because of his lazy charm, the justified lack of fitness because of the character's daily habits, and we have to credit Raj and DK for one more thing. Firstly, to cast South Indian actors as South Indian characters, and secondly, most importantly, to just let them speak freely in their mother tongue without translating those lines to Hindi, which makes it look so refreshing, so organic, so authentic, and it's a huge win for representation. One of my favorite things to watch or listen on YouTube is interviews, conversations, especially with artists from the world of cinema. It's such a joy for me to watch someone like Bharadwaj Rangan extract stories and processes from actors, filmmakers, musicians and writers. But there's only so much that an artist can articulate about themselves. For example, if you ask AR Rahman,
his answers were When I asked him the second question, his answer When I asked him the third, it was We had to do the interview 3 times.
And in such cases, you need another perspective. Like Rajiv Menon, who's a filmmaker who's made some of the most visually stunning, musically rich Tamil films like Minsara Kanavu and Kandukundain. He's also a legendary cinematographer who's collaborated with Maniratnam mainly for films like Bombay and Kadal. But in this context, he's someone who's worked closely with AR Rahman over so many decades. But more than that, he's one of the few people who knew AR Rahman before he became AR Rahman. There is this series of interviews on this channel called O2 India, where he talks about the early days of Rahman, how the film world rejected Rahman in the beginning, but his fresh sound and his ability to mix multiple genres of music in a single track made him a sought after name in the advertising world. Just the way he talks about Rahman and how he made this jingle for a watch brand called Alwyn Trendy. It shows us the roots of this hungry artist who's always chasing the unknown to constantly give something that the world has never heard before. And since then, I've been going on this deep dive of ad jingles which are composed by Rahman, including the Leo Coffee ad with a young Arvind Swamy,
பாரம்பரியம் சுவைமிக்க காஃபி லியோ காஃபி,
the Titan ad from 1997 with, and the one ad that became the most famous ringtone, caller tune, truck horn, car reverse sound and went viral even before we knew the term viral existed.
Sounds cool. Hey, do you want to hear this?
And Rajiv recalls how difficult it was to convince AR Rahman to even act in this ad because of how reclusive he is. There's a reason why Rajiv calls AR Rahman as the Sachin Tendulkar of music, and when you hear him explain why, it makes so much sense and you understand why there's absolutely no one else like Rahman in this world. The last few years in India have been mostly spent in bringing down Bollywood, boycotting Bollywood, saying that Bollywood is over, nepotism has destroyed it all, but most of all, even they've come to realize that Hindi cinema has been consistently mediocre over the last few years. Which is why The Romantics, the latest docu-series on Netflix that starts off as a propaganda for Yash Raj Films, the biggest production house in India, turns into this surprisingly moving trip down memory lane, taking us back to a time when Hindi cinema used to be truly great. How among many other contributors, there was one simple man who had not so simple dreams of making passionate stories that would entertain the masses without taking them for granted. Yash Chopra is a household name today, but to see where he started from, how India's situation in the 1970s, thanks to the emergency, made him collaborate with the iconic writer duo Salim Javed to create a new kind of an Indian hero. The angry young man immortalized by Amitabh Bachchan in films like Diwar and Kala Patthar, whose impact is even responsible for some of the biggest hits that exist today, like the KGF universe. How in the 80s, the arrival of the VCR made families stop going to theatres, very relatable today, and how in that world of sleazy films targeted to frontbenchers mainly, Yash Chopra continued to make the love stories like Chandni, which are very close to his heart, and brought families back to the theatres. How his films, his characters, and oh god, the music. How all these films created a legacy and a blueprint for the biggest hits of the 90s and the early 2000s of Hindi cinema. And another man, his own son Aditya Chopra, how this reclusive, cinema-obsessed man carried forward that legacy. How he started with Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge as a director and then redefined Yash Raj Films as a mastermind producer and became the chief architect, the chief puppeteer of the industry today as we know it. Each one of us has at least one Yash Raj film that's very close to us, like how Anmol of Tried and Refused Productions got extremely nostalgic when Dhoom came on screen when they showed John Abraham pressing that NOS button on his motorbike. For me, that film is Chak De India, and how Jaideep Sani, the writer of the film and arguably one of the best screenwriters of Hindi cinema, the way he describes how that film came to be, and to watch Shah Rukh Khan play against his own image, to just melt into the persona of Kabir Khan, the ostracized hockey player, in a story that's driven by the women hockey players. I'm not exaggerating this, but I literally got chills. If there's one thing I want right now is to catch hold of Aditya Chopra's secret notebook that comes during the series. It shows the level of passion and obsession that someone can have for cinema. And if you love films even 1% of how much Aditya Chopra does, you're gonna love The Romantics. Also, icing on the cake, Uday Chopra, his accent and his imaginary country. A true legend who deserves to be brought back to cinema and create a new genre of content. There are some movies who impact you so deeply that they change your life forever. Malikappuram is not one of those movies, but it doesn't have to be. This is a Malayalam film that a lot of you asked me to check out, so when it dropped on Hotstar, I checked it out immediately. And I have to say, it's been a very, very long time since I saw such a clean, no nonsense, simple screenplay that has no interest in being complex. It wants to do one thing and one thing only, to draw you into the story and entertain you, and it does both of these things extremely well. The most interesting aspect here is that we go through the journey of this film through the eyes of Kallu, an 8-year-old girl who has a single innocent goal in her life, and because we see the world through her perspective, firstly, the simple nature of the screenplay makes so much sense, and secondly, when it's time to elevate that climax sequence, even this fits in so well and seems so natural, so well done, because a child sees the world very differently from an adult. She can view the same incident so differently. She can view the same person as a superhero from the pages of a graphic novel, or even the god she worships who's come down as her personal savior. And what elevates this perspective is the sweet, pitch perfect performance of Kallu by child actor Devananda. She's so sweet, so innocent, so good in her role that she crushes your heart. In the last few months, there have been quite a few small films that have become super hits in Malayalam, and I can totally understand why Malikappuram worked so well at the box office. Next on this list is Romancham, a horror comedy again that a lot of you have asked me to watch, and I'm going to do that and talk about it in part 2. For now, let me know if you watched any of these titles that I mentioned. If you enjoyed them, really tell me in the comments, or you can suggest me more stuff to watch or listen to in the comments once again. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday. Wow.